Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queuing. H 2.0. Yeah. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear. Welcome to the Queendom, H 2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. If you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must. This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought. Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me me. Unleash the dragon. You'll be fine. Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Golden. I am back. We got another video to get into, y'all. I told y'all I would be back this evening. And so I got a few things we're going to discuss. And of course, we're getting back into our political sector, y'all. We got to talk about a few more things that I seen come across the timeline that we really need to go over, okay? So right now it is about 8:30 p.m. and it is cold outside and there's snow outside. We're on the Eastern time, the United States and the Carolinas. I hope you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night in whatever respectful time zone y'all are in. And I hope the weather is good there for y'all as well, because child, it is freezing here. I have not been outside all day. I have not wanted to go out. There is snow out there, and my son is excited because he wants to go out and play, child. But I was like, yeah, I don't think we'll be going out there today. Now, tomorrow is supposed to be a little bit warmer, so we'll probably go out or whatnot tomorrow, and I'll let him play in the snow. This will be his first year experiencing snow. So I do want to take him out so he can have that experience, but it's cold. I'm not excited about it. But anyway, y'all, we got a few things to get into. So we'll be talking about on tonight's docket some things going on with the FBI Director Kash Patel. Okay, and he is saying basically that the FBI had probable cause for the Georgia election probe. We'll be listening to a news report about that from Fox News. We also are going to be getting into Erika Kirk. She's panicking after a leak exposes her real agenda all along. We'll be listening to some of that from the Lauren Peritra show. We also are going to be getting into Trump and how basically he has lost the MAGA Bro podcasters, and now they think he's disgusting. So we're going to let our girls from I've Had It talk to us a little bit about that. And then we also going to hear a report from MS Now, coming from Donald Trump's niece, who is speaking on Trump and saying that he can't let anything go that paints him as a loser, basically telling us a little bit more about his characteristic traits, his personality, and why he is the way he is and moves and operates the way he does. Of course, she would know, a close family member that has spoken out over the years against him and about him for his nasty work. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get into that in just a moment. But real quick, we're going to take a song break because I just have to reset one setting real quick on the StreamYard. So let me go ahead and play this song for y'all while I reset that. And we're going to get into our first video about Kash Patel. I will be right back, guys. I do apologize for the technical difficulties.
On the bill is looking faded and frayed. The fourth estate is corporate owned and heavily paid. They're trading in the facts for a narrative fabricated. If you leak the truth, you get deleted and degraded. Look, the teleprompter's glowing with the scripted out deception. A digital infection to manipulate perception. They steer the conversation in a singular direction while the First Amendment's dying with no hope of resurrection. It's a manufactured crisis, yeah, they're selling us the fear. Whispering the lies until it's all the people here. They call it fact checking just to keep the vision blurry while they bury every whistleblower in a frantic hurry. Silence in the streets, silence in the booth. A total moratorium on anyone with truth. They're tearing out the pages, yeah, they're burning down the fence. A war against the people and against our common sense. It's the sound of the silence. It's heavy and it's cold. It's the sound of the silence. It's heavy and it's cold. Check the independent outlets, yeah, they're catching all the heat. The ones who skip the press release and actually hit the beat. But the algorithms weaponize, the reach is getting throttled. The spirit of the journalist is suffocated bottle. They shadow ban the brave and they platform the fake. It's a psychological game with the highest of stakes. If you don't toe the line, then they label you a threat. Putting filters on your mouth like a suffocating net. They claim they're stopping harm, but they're only stopping thought. Democracy is auctioned and the airwaves have been bought. The gatekeepers are frantic, they're losing their control. So they're trying to put a padlock on the collective soul. They're cutting the wires, they're pulling the plugs, treating the seekers of truth like the thugs. From the boardrooms to the courtrooms, the pressure is rising. The depth of the discourse of what they're devising. The spark in the dark is a beautiful thing. Let the bells of the rebels and dissidents ring. Of peace if the cost is your tongue. The songs of the ancestors are waiting to be sung. They want us quiet, compliant, and staring at the floor while they're locking up the exits and they're bolting every door. But the truth is a frequency they can't fully jam. I'm a man with a mind, I'm not a ghost in their program. No more silence. The loudest thing in the world is the truth they try to hide. Keep the mic on, keep the eyes open. Keep the eye cameras on.
All right, y'all. I am back. I am so sorry. I apologize about that. We're gonna go ahead and get right into the reports, y'all. So the first video that I want to show you guys is going to be coming from Fox News, and again, this is going to be reports on Kash Patel and how he's saying the FBI had probable cause for Georgia election probe. Let me give y'all a synopsis of what exactly is going to be discussed. And so FBI Director Kash Patel officially confirmed that the Bureau executed a search warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub. They hauled away over 700 boxes of 2020 ballots and tabulator tapes. Now, Patel isn't backing down. He just stated that the FBI has probable cause to believe that the federal records laws were violated. He's pointing to Section 20701 of the Civil Rights Act, claiming that the election officials failed to properly preserve registration records. But here's the kicker. The 2020 election was over 5 years ago. Democrats are calling this retributive law enforcement, but Patel insists that it's about cleaning up the system before the 2026 midterms. Is this a legitimate investigation, or is this a tactical move to seize control over Georgia's vote? We also going to be getting into, like I said, Erika Kirk panicking over these leaks. So we'll have to talk about it. Erika Kirk, who has taken the helm of Turning Point USA after the tragic loss of her husband, Charlie Kirk, there are reports now swirling that she is in a state of panic after a massive leak. This isn't just a rumor. Leaked audio from a private Zoom call released by Candace Owens allegedly exposes a real agenda that differs from the public-facing mission of her organization. Critics are saying the leak reveals a focus on optics and power shifting rather than the grassroots movement. We'll look at whether this internal strife will derail her recent endorsement of J.D. Vance for 2028. Also, the MAGA Bros podcast revolt. This might be the most surprising development. The manosphere is in meltdown. The bro podcasters who move the needle with young men in 24 are starting to distance themselves following the recent unaliving or pow-powing of the ICU nurse by federal agents in Minneapolis. Some of these influencers are calling the administration tactics disgusting. We're seeing public announcements from podcasters who literally are declaring war on each other over these high-pressure tactics. If the digital vanguard jumps ship, the administration loses its direct line to the youth vote. We also are going to get into the loser complex. So, like I said, Donald Trump's cousin, Mary Trump, is back with a psychological breakdown that is starting to go viral. She says her uncle is obsessed with the Georgia probe because he simply can't let anything go that paints him as a loser. According to Mary, the 2020 loss is a wound that just won't heal for him, and he's willing to use Kash Patel and the FBI to rewrite that history so he never has to face that label ever again. We'll discuss if this winner versus loser dynamic is now the primary driver of the U.S. domestic policy. Let's go ahead, y'all, and get into our first report for the evening, and that's going to be Kash Patel. So let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys. This is going to be on Fox News report. But, we try to keep it fair a little bit over here. So sometimes we'll play things from the left. Sometimes we'll play things from the right. I think we have to have that balance sometimes when it comes to reporting on these type of political topics. So let's go ahead and get into this reporting right here. But as we also know, Fox News seems to have taken a turn to where they're not necessarily tap dancing for Trump the way they used to. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into this report, y'all, and I will meet y'all in the chat per usual.
FBI director. He's now leading the federal investigation into the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. It's actually, I should note, HSI, and FBI is in charge of the physical evidence, which they have custody of. We spoke with FBI Director Kash Patel about this and a whole lot more, like a decline in homicides. And get this, mass shootings and school shootings across the country. Now, the controversy about the Biden's FBI Arctic Frost, that's in there too, and a trophy that this team awarded themselves. Plus, the new probe into the election offices in Georgia that were searched this week. We taped this interview earlier in the week. Take a look. Let's bring in FBI Director Kash Patel, who joins me now. Director Patel, I want to start with the news, and the news is out of Fulton County, Georgia. I know this is an ongoing investigation, but the FBI on Wednesday did obtain a search warrant to look at this Fulton County Election Hub to access physical ballots, electronic ballot images, and voter rolls. Is there anything you can share at this moment?
Hey, Kaylee, it's great to be with you. Look, like any other investigation, the FBI follows the facts and the law, and President and the Attorney General have given us clear mandate to reduce crime in this country and investigate anything that rises to the level of probable cause. And what we did, the FBI, with our partners at the Department of Justice, the AG, let out on an extensive effort to conduct interviews and an investigation, which led us to a probable cause to be delivered to a judge who found probable cause for us to execute that search warrant, which you saw and the nation saw yesterday. And what we did was what we do in any other investigation. We went in there, we followed the rules of the search warrant. The FBI and the DOJ went in and collected numerous pieces of evidence that the judge authorized us to collect. And what we're going to do next is go through the voluminous amounts of information collected and continue our investigation. At this point, there's not much more I can say publicly because we have to go through a lot more material, but it was predicated upon a finding of probable cause by a judge in Georgia.
Well, we'll continue to follow it. I want to move to the fraud that we have seen in Minnesota. Saturday in America has been all over this. Interviewed David Hoke multiple times, who's in that Nick Shirley video that drew the nation's attention to fraud in Minnesota. How long has the FBI under President Trump been on this?
With President Trump's leadership, he's been on this since day one. And let me rewind you back to the spring or summer of last year where I was on the ground in Minnesota myself. And I know you and your viewers care, as we do, deeply about protecting our children. And the first place we started, the FBI that is what we call with this program, Feeding Our Futures. And we discovered a monumental fraud in Minnesota where individuals in the community and outside the community were fleecing the government for hundreds of millions of dollars. And last summer, we arrested, with our partners at DOJ, 75 individuals pursuant to federal indictments. So that was some of the work that catapulted us into this large-scale fraud investigation that has now captured the nation. And we have not stopped. We've been there since day one, and we're going to continue until we meet it all out. And we've surged resources in Minnesota to make sure that no one swipes money from children or any other American, and no government official, if any participated in this, will be apprehended.
Did your predecessor, we know Chris Wray of the Biden administration, was he looking into this?
I can't speak for my predecessor. I can just tell you the work we've done under President Trump, which is historic levels of reduction in crime across the country. And that includes fraud, not just in Minnesota, but around the country. And it includes heavily investigating and following public corruption for those in elected office that break the law to rob America of their taxpayer dollars.
I want you to listen to this for a moment. This is Governor Tim Walz. He has said, that he was cheated. He has admitted that fraud took place, but he's trying to have it both ways. This is him on, I guess, what they call MS Now. Listen to this.
You mentioned this fraud investigation, the reason that they're here. Is there anything you think, when you look back, you could have done differently to prevent them from showing up and doing what they're doing here?
No, they were coming anyway. It was all make-believe that we'd been at it. Every state had this.
I mean, what we're seeing in Minnesota seems unique, or is it make-believe and this is happening in
Bring out Goliath!
every state and jurisdiction?
Well, thankfully, every state does not have this problem. I don't have another statistic to give you where we arrested 75 individuals in one summer for hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud related to a program that's supposed to feed malnourished children in underprivileged families. So I don't know what he's talking about. That's pushing it under the rug. And also, a fraud of this size, there should be state and local authorities alerting the FBI early on and participating in our investigation. We went up there and did it with the federal authorities and the DOJ, and we've continued to ask those in Minnesota and around the country of any information on this to let us know, because this investigation is not over. The size of the fraud continues to be exposed, and there will be more arrests coming.
Final question on this. A DHS source has told us that they have located $700 million in bulk cash by Somali couriers going through the Minnesota airport. By way of comparison, just $3 to $4 million goes per year through JFK and DFW. That number was over a 2-year period. Is this something that you're looking into, or is this solely in DHS's purview?
This is in DHS's purview, but of course, like any great interagency partnership, Secretary Noem and I and Tom Oman have a great partnership, and we're going to continue to collect information, and whether it falls into their lane of investigation or ours, we're going to make sure we put the resources necessary to expose those involved. So
I want to get to the great work of what the FBI does, and it's fighting crime. And by all means, you have been a resounding success. Homicides down to the lowest rate since 1900. Never thought I would see this when I was in Administration 1, the summer of love, they called it. And now look at these numbers. Mass shootings down to the lowest point in 20 years. I found out today, school shootings, the lowest point in 5 years. And as a mother, I'm very grateful to the work you guys have done here. I found this headline, New York City. There was supposed to be a school shooting. A young man posted on Instagram that he was going to shoot up a school. Within 2 hours, the FBI was in that New York City school, located a weapon in his backpack, and neutralized the threat. What do you credit to bringing down school shootings, something that has befuddled both the right and the left, but clearly not befuddled the Kash Patel FBI?
Well, the credit belongs to President Trump for backing law enforcement and giving us the resources and saying we're going to protect our children. You're right. It was a great effort in New York with the FBI and the NYPD and our private sector partners, who are also very important to giving us tips and information about it. And yes, we thwarted it there in New York. Similarly, we did the same thing in Indiana and in Texas. And thankfully, we were able to thwart these school shootings before they happened. And the FBI remains very vigilant in our tip lines. We've had 1,600 tips related to school shootings and possible school shootings last year alone, and we were able to work with our state and local partners. That's the key, Kaylee. We go out there with the FBI, we get with the cops on the ground and our interagency and DOJ partners and say, we are going to prevent this at all costs. And one of the things that we are doing is highlighting the work we've done to protect our children. Just this past year alone, under President Trump's leadership, we have found and identified 6,000 missing kids. That's up 22%. We have arrested, the FBI, 1,700 top child predators. That's up 10%. And the following is maybe some of the most impressive work the FBI is doing. You are very familiar with the nihilistic, violent extremist community online, preying on our kids, forcing them to maim and mutilate themselves, and even sometimes commit suicide. We are up 490% in the number of FBI arrests for the NVE.
When conversations like this happen, it's like sometimes you gotta bite your tongue and just not say anything. I'm not going to say what I want to say. I'm gonna just let it slide. But anyway, let's keep going, y'all.
Community, and specifically that 764 network that targets our children, we're up over 30% in arrests related to the 764 network. Wow. And the credit goes to the interagency and the men and women in the FBI working together with DOJ to bring these perpetrators to justice.
Wow, that's impressive. And as someone who, routinely covers these school shootings on Outnumbered every day at noon, and they continue to come, I want to thank you. That's a great service to our nation. I know we only have a few moments, but just two other things I want to get to quickly. You discovered a trophy there at the FBI. Arctic Frost was the operation under Biden that targeted Republicans. This trophy is so bizarre to me. The picture's up on the screen. It says AF Arctic Frost. They seem to be celebrating things with insignias. What is this that you found?
All this trophy shows is that the prior administration under Biden fully weaponized the system of justice. You know, you and I know all too well about Russiagate. And this FBI under President Trump exposed Arctic Frost, which was the improper and, if not unlawful, surveillance of members of Congress and other people. And the folks that were in the FBI, and let me make one thing clear, these people are no longer here. They've been terminated. We found them, we exposed them, and we got rid of them. Instead of focusing on violent crime and protecting our children and protecting our national security, they were too busy making trophies. So we felt it appropriate to show literally what the Biden administration's FBI was doing versus the Trump. They're making trophies, and we're safeguarding our kids and our future.
Well said. And final question to you. Of course, everyone has been focused on Alex Peretti and the death of Alex Peretti. There's an ongoing investigation. I did catch a soundbite where Governor Walz said that he spoke with Tom Homan and that they would be in touch with you. The FBI's role in this, I know you said it's collecting physical evidence, but just to clarify the role of the FBI here, if you could.
Yeah, sure. Like any other shooting in any other volatile situation, we're working with our Department of Homeland Security partners because those involved in the shooting were HSI officials. So we're collecting information and we continue to follow the facts. And we'll continue as the FBI to lead any investigation where the facts predicate opening of criminal cases. And we're going to do that in conjunction with our Department of Justice partners. That's why the Attorney General was on the ground there this week, and the Deputy Attorney General and I were on the ground in Minnesota just last week or the week before. And we'll go wherever the facts lead us. We will hold everyone accountable.
Director Patel, thank you.
Wait, if you've taken Uber.
All right, y'all. So that was just a brief report there, you know, from Kash Patel, as we could hear. I can't say too much, right? I can't really say everything that I want to say. But I want to show y'all another video really quick, okay? Give me just a second to get this one up on the screen for y'all. I want you to just see, like, there's definitely a difference sometimes in what is being talked about and how it is being talked about on different platforms. But, you know, I'm trying to keep it fair. So we know we listen to Fox. Certain things come from Fox, and it's like, it can be very questionable, but I want y'all to hear this other report. So let me get this one up on the screen for y'all. Give me just a second. Hold on.
We're coming back for some brand new breaking news. MS Now has just learned that FBI Director Kash Patel may be out of a job in the coming months. 3 people with knowledge of the situation say President Trump and his top aides have grown tired of Patel and the unflattering headlines he's been generating recently, including using a government jet to visit his girlfriend and enlisting a SWAT team as her security detail. Joining us, MS Now Justice and Intelligence reporter Ken Delanian and MS Now White House reporter Laura Barone Lopez. Both of them broke this story along with Carol Lenig. Ken, give me more.
Well, Katie, I should say, first of all the qualifiers apply here. With Donald Trump and personnel decisions, you never actually know exactly what's going on. But we are being told that Kash Patel, the FBI director, is on increasingly thin ice. And the president is considering replacing him by the end of the year with Andrew.
Okay, hold on, because this one escalated fast. 1 minute, Kash Patel is doing interviews and brushing off criticism. The next, you've got multiple reporters saying the White House is quietly losing patience, Congress openly challenging his explanations, and federal judges pushing back in a way that makes people inside Washington noticeably uncomfortable. And when judges start doing that, it usually means something deeper is going on. Let's start with the part most people gloss over. This isn't just about bad optics or awkward headlines. This is about trust, credibility, and whether the FBI director is telling Congress the full truth about why some of the most sensitive documents in recent history are still locked away. According to reporting from NBC News, Free people familiar with the situation say President Donald Trump and senior aides are increasingly frustrated with Patel. Not furious, not panicking, but tired. And in Trump world, that's often worse. The frustration isn't just political. It's personal, practical, and reputational. The complaints range from headline-grabbing behavior, like using a government jet to visit his girlfriend and arranging a SWAT-style security detail for her, to something far more serious. Patel repeatedly getting ahead of investigations on social media, tweeting details before the rest of the government had signed off. That includes commentary tied to the Michigan terrorism case and the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination attempt, moments where federal officials typically move with extreme caution. Behind the scenes, Justice Department leadership has reportedly been irritated for a while. Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, people who don't usually air disagreements in public. They've denied tensions outright when asked, but according to reporters, that denial hasn't stopped the annoyance from building. And now, sources say the White House is starting to feel it.
The former Attorney General of Missouri, who is acting now as co-deputy FBI director, along with Dan Bongino. And it's for all the reasons that you just said and others. The use of taxpayer resources, the flying his girlfriend around, including related to the Charlie Kirk assassination and other investigations, that terrorist attack in Michigan, where Patel got out in front of the investigation and tweeted about the arrests before the rest of the government was ready for that to happen. So Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche of the Justice Department have been annoyed with Patel for a long time, although they've publicly denied it when others have reported it. And now it's increasingly clear that the White House is as well. Now, our reporting this may actually enhance his job security, right? So it's hard to know exactly what's going to happen, but that is the reporting at this hour, Katie.
Yeah, no, we have seen situations where when it comes out that somebody is being considered for removal in order to prove that
Here's where things get interesting. The name being floated as a possible replacement isn't random. Andrew Bailey, the former Missouri Attorney General and now acting co-deputy FBI director alongside Dan Bongino, is someone Trump allies see as steadier, quieter, and far less likely to generate the kind of headlines Patel keeps attracting. That doesn't mean Patel is gone tomorrow. With Trump, personnel decisions can flip overnight. But it does mean Patel is on thinner ice than he's been at any point since taking the job. And all of that is happening while Congress is breathing down his neck over one issue that simply will not go away: the Epstein files. This is where the story shifts from political drama to legal tension. Back in November 2025, President Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act into law. The language was straightforward. The Department of Justice and the FBI were required to release all Epstein-related records within 30 days. Not selectively, not eventually. Within 30 days. When that deadline passed, what actually happened was underwhelming. The DOJ released a small batch of documents, heavily redacted. Less than 1% of the total material made public. The vast majority stayed sealed. Members of Congress noticed immediately, and they started asking questions. Kash Patel's answer was consistent. He told lawmakers that court orders prevented him from releasing the files. Judges, he said, had ordered the records to remain confidential. His hands were tied. That explanation might sound reasonable until you look closer. Because federal judges themselves have, not the courts, is the logical entity responsible for releasing these records. Other judges echoed the same point. There is no blanket court order preventing disclosure. Some documents may have specific restrictions. That's normal, but those narrow limits don't apply to the entire archive. Here's the part most people miss. When Patel tells Congress that court orders block release, he's either misunderstanding those orders or expanding them far beyond what they actually say. And that distinction matters a lot, legally and politically. Congress noticed too. During a tense exchange, Democratic Congressman Dan Goldman pressed Patel directly. Goldman, a former federal prosecutor with a decade of courtroom experience, asked which specific court orders prevented the release of FBI witness interview statements. Patel didn't give a clear answer. Instead, he shot back. Do you know how court orders work? Goldman didn't miss a beat. He responded calmly, yeah, I was a real prosecutor for 10 years. That moment landed hard in the room, not because of the sarcasm, but because Goldman then explained in detail what the court orders actually say and why they don't justify withholding everything.
All right, so I just wanted y'all to hear a little bit of that before we get into the next video. Now, the next video I'm going to let y'all listen to is going to be from our girls over on I've Had It podcast. And they're going to be talking about how the MAGA Bros podcasters basically are now turning against Donald Trump and calling him disgusting. Okay, so all of this stuff ties in because this information is all pouring out at the same time. And all of these people have been in cahoots together, working together as a team. They now all are scraping and scrounging and basically going against one another to save each other's tails. So let's go ahead and get into this next video, y'all, and listen to this. You'll be surprised what you hear. So y'all get ready for it.
All right, Donald Trump is bullying and harassing his supporters online, and all historians and scholars that we've spoken to tell us that autocrats have particular disdain for their supporters. And here's case in point. Main post, this is insane. Trump PAC is threatening supporters with ICE raid if they don't donate. So here's an email from Pudding Boy, whose brain is totally cooked. I reached out last week about my citizens only survey. Your file says you're a top MAGA patriot, but my records to my survey still say response pending. Don't tell me you're an illegal alien. That cannot be true. This is your final moment to prove me wrong. Please. And then it's like, are you a proud American citizen or does ICE need to come and track you down? This is unbelievable. And here's all I have to say to this is the Republican Party during Nixon, and his crime seems so quaint now and so pedestrian at this point compared to everything that Pudding Boy and the army of psychopaths are up to. Just this alone, number one is so white trash. Number two is so toxic. Number three, are his supporters, I guess they're really this stupid. You know, like if you throw in, like, could you imagine if Obama sent something out like that? Could you imagine if Kamala Harris or Joe Biden sent something out like this?
No.
Could you imagine? And then all of these corporate TV channels have all of these people on who sit there and act like Donald Trump has decorum or he just has a different governing style. And it's like, he is an unhinged, toxic psychopath surrounded by even more unhinged, toxic psychopaths, because at least maybe there's a little bit of cover that like, okay, he's got dementia. Right. Stephen Miller doesn't. Right. JD Vance doesn't. They're just hateful and psychopaths for sport.
Well, here's the thing. You know who else held Nixon accountable? The press. And that's why he's systematically dismantling the freedom of the press. I mean, look no further than Laura Loomer is now a credentialed agent at the Pentagon. But my thing is, where is this money going? He's a lame duck. He's termed out. So this is a clue as much as anything he's done. I'm sure it's going into his pocket, but it has to go somewhere before it goes there. And he's acting like he's campaigning again. That's my thought.
We need to get all money out of politics. I mean, elections should be publicly funded. This is the amount you get. This is the amount you get. You have 2 months. This permanent campaign, raising billions of dollars, grifting your supporters, emotionally blackmailing them. Are you an illegal alien patriot? I mean, it's so juvenile and so ridiculous. I just cannot believe that we have to get on this and talk about this, that we have to get on our YouTube channel and talk about him sending these toxic emails to his supporters. And you know what? I bet a bunch of people donated. It's just insane.
I'm not an illegal alien. I don't want him to think I'm an illegal alien.
All right. And so obviously a lot of people are late to the party on this. A lot of people during the last presidential campaign got intoxicated by Trump's campaign. They got intoxicated by the fight photo, which I'm now going to go on the permanent record. I think he totally staged the assassination. I've watched it. I think he staged it. They lowered the flag. They let the press go in. I think he staged the whole thing. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm going blue and on. I don't care. Fuck it. We're in the middle of Trump's 2.0. But a lot of people like Andrew Schultz fell for all that crap. And Donald Trump is a lot of these guys' idealized form of masculinity. And they submit to him. They're submissive to this man. They don't stand on anything on their own. And he is so objectively deranged, objectively not for democracy, objectively a Nazi fascist show. So even these guys who on their channels just couldn't promote him enough and bought into all of this, crap that he's so, wants to make America great again, which is objectively a threat. Now it's, Monday morning quarterback, play the clip.
Every time something horrific happens, they keep going, but look at the pedophiles we got. Look at the murderers we got. Look at all the violent criminals we got. I looked at the numbers. It's 5% of the people they deported are violent criminals.
Yes. There's probably more pedophiles in the Oval Office.
Exactly. Exactly. If you bring up another fucking pedophile about deporting and you're not releasing the Epstein list, just shut the fuck up, all of you.
Yes.
I don't want to hear anything else about, we got to deport the pedophiles. They're right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're right here. They're a list of them, and you're not exposing it.
Pumps.
I love him saying that because this whole manosphere and all these conspiracy theorists were obsessed with the Epstein files. And now you see some trying to give cover, it's Pam Bondi. Oh, well, we want to protect the victims now. It's all bullshit. They want to protect him. So this is part of the splintering on the Epstein files, which the two things that seem to have harmed him the most politically are the Epstein files and what is happening with ICE and someone that's so for Trump 2.0. This gives me some type of optimism, albeit limited. But then he goes on to say in that same podcast, this about ICE. Kylie, play that one.
About what happened in Minneapolis. ICE murdered an American citizen in cold blood, and then the Trump administration.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
I see the administration trying, and it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't even have a moment where they're like, hey, we're reviewing the footage. We're going to try to see what's really happening. All of them, Trump and all the cronies, put out collective statements that immediately blamed an American citizen that was exercising his First and Second Amendment rights. Right? He has the right to protest. He has the right to carry a firearm. He's a legal gun owner, right? Mm-hmm. There's no question about this whatsoever. And the administration immediately comes out and they try to gaslight the public, which you cannot do when we have 15 different videos of what happened.
Yes.
And
that is what they do, though.
But
what I have to say about this is I sometimes can be like, which is not helpful. And so I just want to say this out loud because I know a lot of our listeners are probably thinking what I'm thinking right now, like, fuck Andrew Schultz. When it mattered to have conviction, you didn't. You propped up a guy who this pedophile stuff and all of these people wasn't new. Mm-hmm. And you just thought it was the Democrats at the time. But the rest of us who read objective news knew that he was in the middle of them, that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, that it was under his DOJ that Jeffrey Epstein committed, quote, suicide. And so I want to say, fuck you, Andrew Schultz. And so I get how any listener feels that way, but cooler heads have to prevail. And when people arrive at this resistance, no matter where they were during the vote, and that vote can still piss you off. You can have a compound feeling. Like, he pisses me off. He was such a prick to platform him, to get intoxicated on the faux testosterone of this movement and worship a man who wears a full face of makeup every day while he sits there and goes, I weave. And everybody's like thinking it's hilarious. So that pissed me off. But at the same time, welcome to the resistance. Like, this is serious. This is serious. And he has a large audience. And he made perfect sense there. Mm-hmm. Everything he said made perfect sense. And so the petty person in me wants to browbeat him for all the fuckery while Kamala was running against him and he couldn't see how qualified she was and what a better choice she would have been, and just leaned into the misogyny and propped up this criminal dictator that wears a full face of makeup every day. And it still fucking pisses me off just saying it right there. but he's here now. And so as we move forward and these fissures explode all over the place, I have to put on my big girl panties and say, we agree now.
Right.
We agree today, because it's going to take people like Andrew Schultz to put this type of logic into people who get their news from podcasts only. So Andrew Schultz, welcome to the resistance. And the bravest thing you can do, my brother, is stand up for marginalized people and stand up for women, because this administration is cruel for sport, for absolute sport. And there's nothing masculine about that.
I completely agree and think that's very well said. I probably don't agree with Andrew Schultz on anything, but I think when I see this, I think if even 100 of his listeners out of the millions, if even 100 change their mind, then that's going to flow to, maybe 5 people that each person knows. I mean, these cracks are starting small, but they will get big, and they need to get big.
I totally agree. Okay, here is a post of a guy, MAGA guy, that's embarrassed by Trump. Pop this up. Eric Spracklin has the American flag in his bio, of course. I've never been more embarrassed to have been a Trump supporter for the last 10 years than I am right now. I lost countless friends and alienated myself socially in the process. Politics just ruled everything around me. I thought he was different. I really did. I was wrong. And this is the part that's going to be difficult for a lot of us, that we're screaming at the top of our lungs since 2015 about the dangers of this man, is being warm and welcoming when people realize they supported and were a part of a cult. And it's something that I need to work on personally, because I have so much rage and so much anger towards these people that they willfully suspend critical thinking. They willfully suspend. They play dipshit at the end of it. And this Republican Party is supposed to have always been the party of individuality and the party of personal accountability. And yet here we're going to have a lot of people that don't want to be personally accountable for they willfully do not ever let them off the hook. They willfully suspend their moral code, and they willfully suspend their ability to critically think to support this. Now, here's the thing. This is our country, and I can't sit around if people get deprogrammed or people realize he's diabolical and they're like, fuck, I'm wrong. I was totally wrong about all of this. You guys were right. I cannot, and none of us can, take these I told you so victory laps. It's not helpful. It's not productive, albeit it's as tempting as all get out. It really is. But it's going to take all of us to get our country back. And if we can survive this, it's going to take years and years and years to rebuild the wreckage that he's done. But
all right, y'all. So we hear a little bit of this conversation now. And so I don't know if anybody's familiar with, Andrew Schultz and the podcast that they have over there. It's not one of my favorite. I don't necessarily listen to them. I've heard some of the things that they have said before on the podcast, like clips and things like that, and seen some episodes. And I don't really necessarily care for them. They're not my cup of tea, but they may be someone else's. But I did want to play this next piece of audio for you guys, because we do see that there's a lot of people that are switching up. We do see there's a lot of people that seem to be jumping ship, and now all of a sudden their talking points are going in a different direction. And I don't really know how to feel about that. I feel like, yeah, change is possible. I think, we have heard the infamous MAGA Minaj say that people get to change their mind. But I do just believe that, all of this is a little performative to me when it comes to certain groups, because of just how hard and 10 toes down they were when Trump was saying the things he was saying initially and moving the way he was moving initially. And then it's like now all of a sudden people are, oh, it's so disgusting. Oh, no, we can't tolerate this. Oh, no, he's a nasty piece of work, but he has been that way. and he told people exactly what his intentions were and what he wanted to do. And a lot of people just laughed right along with it. You know, they didn't care. It's almost like they were on board as well. And so I want y'all to listen to this part of the conversation from the sit down from a year ago with Andrew Schultz and Trump. And this is a conversation at this point of the podcast where they were talking about immigration. I want you to listen to exactly what Trump was saying. I want you to listen to what their response was to that and their actions and their energies. Just listen very closely. All right, here we go.
We are a nation in decline, whether you like it or not.
I hate hearing that.
I know. I hate
that
it.
hurts me. That hurts me. As a proud American,
well, what you like though is, but we're going to be greater than ever before.
So that's, I think, the messaging that I think.
Yeah,
I think that's really nice
well, that's
to hear.
my ultimate message. But you can't avoid the fact that we've allowed 21 million people into our country in the last 3.5 years. And I don't know your persuasion. I don't know if you guys are liberal or what, but nobody can be happy with 21 million people openly walking into a place we don't know. And it was released last week that 13,000 of those people are murderers. 13,099. 13,000 of those people are in prison. They're incarcerated for murder, and they let them out.
I think you have support on this, though. I think everybody,
tremendous support,
regardless.
I think I'll let you know. I'll let you know on November 6th if I have support.
But
the day after the election,
I don't think
November 5th, the most important day. No,
I think people agree and they want a strong border. And I think I don't think that's an issue that's like tearing the country apart. But I do think that there is something.
There are some people that want to open, and they're either.
But they're like politicians that are getting some sort of reinforcement through this. The average American, I don't think, is going.
Well,
we
they hate
need
our
an
country.
open board.
I think only a person that hates our country, actually, maybe it's a down deep hatred, can want open borders. So we took in more than 21 million people in the last 3.5 years, and we have no idea where they even come from. They're terrorists, they're drug dealers. You know, in Venezuela, and it's not just South America, but take Venezuela. They've taken their criminals off the streets of Caracas, which was a very dangerous city. You couldn't walk across the street in Caracas and get a loaf of bread. Right now, it's a safe city. Their crime is down 72%. They've taken all of their criminals, almost all of them, and they brought them into the United States and dumped them.
Yeah,
that's not ending well. You know where some of them went? To Aurora in Colorado, and they took over the town. They took it over.
The whole town?
Oh, pretty much, yeah. You know how they took it over? With guns. If they went into the real estate business, like me, I had to go to a bank and borrow.
Yeah.
They went in with
guns,
MK-47. So they went in with would have
been so much easier.
Weapons like nobody's ever seen before. You know,
I think most people
they went in with
board.
military-style weapons. They've taken it over.
But I think most people are on board with deporting any illegal that has committed a crime.
Yeah.
Like I think there's bipartisan support of that. I think the tricky thing comes, and honestly, I have empathy. Like you're a business owner.
Yeah.
There's been people. I'm not trying to out you, but like there's been people I'm sure that might not have had like legal citizenship that have maybe worked in various businesses.
that's true.
And it's like, you know, I've definitely been taken care of as a kid by people that weren't legal, babysitters and stuff. So there are people that maybe would like a path to citizenship that I have a lot of empathy for.
You have to start with the criminals.
Agreed.
Okay. Look,
But
I have
maybe,
said,
but maybe we can.
It's very tough.
Maybe we can open our hearts a little bit to the
I
people who
agree.
are trying to be,
All
you know,
right.
good, hardworking
And
Americans.
you know what's going to happen? You're going to be in the midst of this. Now, you know, Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians. And then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off into
I like that. Because now I'm like, where are we weaving to? I'm into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you
Because
go.
what I was going to say is that Eisenhower.
I like the
is a
play-by-play
moderate.
for the week.
No, it's good though, isn't
Yeah.
it great? We go into it. We mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%, and now you go back. Okay,
Boom.
it's part of the weave. You know?
Yeah.
Then you go back. No, you got to
Finger
keep
roll.
it all together. You got to be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're dead. Think of it. Think of it. No, but think of it. So we have 92% and 8%. Nobody, no admirals, and no business people until me. So now
Yeah.
we have me. I'm one.
Yeah.
So I'm.
And then maybe things change after that. Here's
No, I think it will
Yeah.
change. there'll never be another business person that ever does this.
Okay, here's a
because
question.
I've been treated so badly that I think that no person of success. Don't forget, my whole life was deals. Most guys are stiffs.
Yes.
Like they'll run for office. There's no deal. There's no nothing. You can't get yourself in trouble much.
Yeah.
You can be a crooked politician, which some are.
Yeah.
But basically, I do so many deals. I do hundreds of thousands of pages of documents a year, you know, when I'm really in the mood, right?
Yeah.
And if they find one page, I got myself a problem politically.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at it. They went after me for years on taxes.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
They went to the United States Supreme Court. I gave them tens of thousands of pages, and you never heard about it again.
Well, that is what often happens, which is probably incredibly frustrating, which is lobbing an allegation.
Well, that's the problem,
and then when it's proven to be false, they just move on.
Oh, they don't even write about it. I called the New York Times on something. I was right. And they
The
said,
Russian
are
thing
you going to do?
was wild.
Yeah,
Like-
the Russian hoax.
Yeah.
Well, I'm suing Pulitzer. You don't know this. They got a Pulitzer Prize for their New York
the
Times,
hoax?
Washington
Oh, wow.
Post. Yeah, for the hoax. They got the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
So the writers got Pulitzer Prizes for their brilliant coverage of the Russia hoax. But
Interesting.
it turned out to be right. So
Yeah.
we wrote a letter to the Pulitzer Prize, right? You know, the committee, it's a big foundation.
Yeah.
And we said, it's a lawsuit that's going on right now. And we said, we demand that you take back the Pulitzer Prizes. We demand a apology.
Yeah.
Because you're actually, by leaving them, you're sort of saying it happened and it didn't happen. Everybody now is
You're
giving it
rewarding
up.
the lie.
Yeah. So I sued them. They said, well, we did what we did. That's okay. That's all right. So I sued them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got themselves a big problem now.
Yeah.
And this suit's moving along. And I think we're going to win that suit easily because they gave people Pulitzer Prizes that were wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry, there's one thing I want to give you, a rumor I'd like to give you a chance to dispel, and then one question, if you have time, I'd like to ask selfishly. Rumor, the far left, I think, says this thing that, if Donald Trump wins, he's never going to cede power. Then they have some clip of you saying, just vote for me one time, you won't have to vote again. I don't believe this is true. I want to give you a chance to publicly say that's nonsense, just so you can publicly speak to any moderates out there.
So what I said, Christians tend to vote at a very low percentage for some reason. And so do gun owners. Would you believe it? The NRA, gun owners tend not to vote. Maybe it's a rebellious thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
I said, look, our country's in big trouble, really big trouble with the border, with all the problems. We can solve the problem. But vote this one time. After that, we're not going to need it to. This is the most important election in the history of our country. Vote for this most important election. And then if you don't want to vote, we're going to have elections, but you don't have to vote because it's going to go along swimmingly.
That's how I interpreted it.
That's how everybody. That's how they interpreted it too.
Yes. They know what
you
you're
got to
saying.
vote this time because we can't wait 4 years. Because you know what? In another 4 years, like we've just had with this clown that's a president, that's just a clown, a foolish man. Don't forget, he was a stupid man 25 years ago. He was never a smart man. He's run many times. Isn't it amazing? He's run many times, and he gets it when he's in serious decline. Okay. But anyway, so everybody knows that.
Okay.
And that's what I meant by it.
Yeah.
It means we got to fix it.
Yeah.
And then it's going to work beautifully. It's going to run beautiful. We're going to have elections every 2 years and every 4 years. It's going to be great.
I just want to give you a chance to say that to
And what was
moderate.
your second
And if I
thought?
could ask one question, everybody I speak to, every race, creed, whatever, they don't just like you, they love you. And I talk to people on both sides about your policies, and a lot of people that like your policies. The China tariff that's still in place right now is an example of policy that people love. I think sometimes what we love about you as comedians is you shoot from the hip. But then that gets twisted into this rhetoric that adds gasoline onto everything. So the one thing I would like, as I think a moderate person, is maybe if you get elected, would you be a little bit more mindful of how powerful your words are for better and for worse?
I will. And I'm going to think of you every time.
Let's go. I might actually vote.
No, it's true. I understand that. Sometimes they say, well, could you be a little bit more? But you're doing a lot of things and you're solving a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I stopped wars that nobody will ever know about. They won't write about, but countries that were fighting each other and didn't affect us much, but they did business with us. I called up 2 countries that have fought for thousands of years, killing each other for years. And I said, you guys are at it again. I heard it was going to start up. I stopped it when I first came in. And I said, listen, here's the story. if you go to war with each other, I could give you the details, but I don't even want to bother because it's nice now. I said, you're not going to do any more business with the United States. I'm going to cut you off 100%. And if you do get through, I'm going to charge you 200% tariffs. You won't be able to survive. So work it out. Work it out. You know, it was a country that split and they've been fighting for years, the two halves. I think like thousands. I get a call and I forget about it, but I had a rough call with them. And I said, I'm going to charge you tariffs and you're going to be cut off. No more business. And if they don't have the United States, it's a problem. Yeah. And we have to keep it that way. We have to keep our country strong so we can do this. I mean, if our country is weak, we don't have that. You know, if we keep getting weaker and weaker, which is happening, we're not going to let that happen. So I get a call 2 days later. Sir, we've worked it all out. Thank you very much. And I go about my business. I saved thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands of lives. They've been killing each other for years, for centuries. And I saved thousands of lives. And nobody writes about it. Many people don't even know that's the reason, you know, things are good. And I had it out with them. I said, you guys are crazy. You do that, no more doing business with the United States. You're cut off 100%. You're dead. You're not going to do 10 cents worth of business. And I even said the tariff thing, but the first was actually even more powerful. And that's it. I forget about it. I go about doing my business. 2 days later, I said, congratulations. So what? On what? So-and-so and so-and-so. They're not going to have a war. They made peace. I've done so many things like that. And none of them
hit the news.
Most of them aren't.
None of them are noticed.
No, most of them aren't really known. You know, I've made countries do things for us because they were treating us unfairly, and I've gotten things for our country that nobody else. I really think nobody else could have done, but I enjoy doing it for our country. And you know, just to get back to where you originally started, I want to make America great again. I want to make it so great that people won't question it, so that people can say what you just said. That no, it's great. I don't want to have a question. Why should I or anybody else say, no, it's not great anymore? I don't want to be in that position. I think I want to make it so that when you ask a question like that, we can say, well, it's a great, great country. We love our country, but we can do a couple of little things.
I think we need that.
I'll put that in our, we want to put that in our basket.
I love that. And well, first of all, thank you so much.
This is an honor.
I would be remiss to not even bring this up. You've said that you want to have peace in these places, not just Russia and Ukraine. It's obviously the Middle East. I know that is a very tough task. I don't think maybe you get enough credit for what you accomplished and your administration accomplished with the Abraham Accords.
The Abraham Accords, and they did nothing. Again, Iran was willing to do a deal. I would have had a deal with Iran within 7 days after the election. I actually said, let's delay it till after the election because I was sure we were going to win the election. But
all right, y'all. So I just wanted y'all to hear a little bit of that. We're going to go ahead and take a quick song break, and then we're going to get into the Erika Kirk story and why she is in a panic, okay? So we will be right back after this song break.
Yeah. They thought we were sleeping. Work out! Work out! Work out! Wake up! 1 weekend, no man lost a fox in the DHS. She was playing checkers while we're dealing with this mess. Last spread it in the street, nurse with illegal heat. Holstered in the holster, but they killed them for the feet. Yeah, the surges hitting cities, call it metro, call it war. They're knocking down the Constitution on the bedroom door. Bleep is split. Massey screaming, what's the price? A new one's on the stand, yeah, she's skating on the ice. They stripped the bill, they removed the clause. No safety for the people, they're breaking all the laws. Rocket in the room, yeah, she's looking at the files. Comers out of time, she's been waiting for the trial. We got boots on the earth, I'm moving through the mist. They want the total surge, we're coming with the fist. Boots on the ground, yeah, the narrative is dead. Trump firing the chiefs while the streets are seeing red. Stay live. sounds of death. Listen close. Listen close. Listen close. Listen close. They removed the ban on deporting the citizens. The current appearing for the bullets in the prisons. From Indianapolis to D.C., the wall is falling down. They can't stop the movement when we're holding down the town. Got boots on the ground, moving through the mist. They want that total surge. We're coming with the fist. Boots on the ground, yeah, the narrative is dead. Trump fire in the cheeks while the streets are seeing lit. Stay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down. The surge is crumbling. We see you. We see it all.
All right, y'all. So we just went ahead and took that quick little song break. Now we're about to get into our next video for the evening. So we're going to be playing the audio here. And this video is about Erika Kirk. She is in a panic because there has been a leak via a voice message that is exposing her real agenda from the very beginning. And I don't know if y'all have felt or had any type of, concerns or suspicions. I know I did. When it comes to a little bit, just her character, her energy, her personality, something's a little off with her and a little off with the entire situation. And again, I did not know these people, nor did I watch them before all of this started to go viral and came out. I looked into it, some of Charlie Kirk's content, listening to Erika Kirk having these speeches that she's doing now and this tour that she's been on, and just watching and listening to how she moves and she operates, considering what happened to her late husband, Charlie Kirk. It just didn't sit right with me, but y'all can let me know what y'all think. But now we're seeing the truth is coming out. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
You know what? Fine. Candace Owens, a little unhinged, but she has a point.
Wow. I don't even know where to begin. The fact that we were able to pull off an event of a century, it's just insane.
Everyone's talking about this leaked Zoom call about Erika Kirk giggling 11 days after her husband was brutally killed on a college campus. But I need you to focus on something specific, something that everyone's just glossing over amongst all this other riffraff and hoopla. And it's not just that she was like upbeat and having a little giggle, it's what she was celebrating. And the thing she kept coming back to, the metric she was tracking in real time. And when you hear what this is, you're going to understand why everyone grieves or grifts differently. Doesn't cover it this time. And real quick, I'm Lauren Paritra. Please take a moment to subscribe. We currently still have a lead on Katie Miller, the woman married to Stephen Little Bitch Miller, the pale white nationalist from Santa Monica. She's married to him on purpose. And she's building a podcast on the backs of kidnapped children and immigrants. So consider every like, every share, every comment, every hype as an FU to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller. So context, Charlie Kirk, the Turning Point USA founder, gets poo-pooed at an event September 10, 2025. A 22-year-old kills him. Look, Kirk was somebody I fundamentally disagreed with. He built this whole political movement founded on many deeply problematic beliefs. But getting shot while giving a talk is not something that anyone deserves, even somebody who I fundamentally disagree with. Political violence is not the answer, full stop. And 11 days later, his widow, Erika, gets on a Zoom call with her Turning Point USA staff. Candace Owens leaks the audio, and Erika opens it up like she's running a quarterly review, like it's an earnings call.
Hi, everybody. I still love all these emoji Zoom things. Wow. I don't even know where to begin. the fact that we were able to pull off an event of a century, like it's just insane. We had over 275,000 people that attended, and stadium overflow, Westgate, insane.
Event of the century? This is your husband's funeral. An event you pulled off? We had 275,000 people that attended in a stadium overflow. A stadium overflow? Most widows can't even get out of bed in 2 weeks. And Erika's over here calculating capacity metrics and like treating it like KPIs. And I'm thinking, okay, she's on something, or there's some serious compartmentalization going on. Some people just go on full autopilot. Everyone does respond to trauma differently, because feeling anything like what she should be feeling would shatter somebody. But then she says something that makes it clear that this isn't shock, that she's excited.
I think we're at like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that, because I think it just keeps like bumping up like crazy.
200,000 for merch sales at her husband's funeral, at his memorial. Someone designed hoodies, someone approved them, and someone staffed these tables. I covered this a few weeks back, or maybe even a month or so back now. They had these merch items for sale within 24 hours. And she said, don't quote me on that, because I think it just keeps bumping up like crazy. Bumping? The merch is bumping at her husband's memorial? The sales are climbing so fast she can't find a final number because the dashboard is still refreshing, I guess. Somebody set up real-time metrics that she's tracking. Someone monitored it during the memorial, and someone is feeding Erika Kirk these updates, and she's probably looking at a Google sheet somewhere. And someone on Twitter wrote, we all grieve differently. We all grieve in different ways. Some of us cry. Some of us want to be alone. Some of us want our friends nearby. And some of us want to gleefully tabulate how much money we made on merchandise with our dead beloved's name on it. It's all normal. Could you imagine?
I just wanted to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to the events team, the development team, the graphic design team, the production team. It's just phenomenal. Their incredible work leading into the memorial. And honestly, a lot of the staff that worked on the memorial, they had 20-hour days for a week during the time of us grieving the loss of my husband. And honestly, I know several staff that didn't even sleep.
The graphic design team, for their work on her husband's death branding, right now, somebody has a Charlie Kirk Memorial Service 2025 at the top of their portfolio. They led this visual identity. It's in their LinkedIn. They exceeded merch projections by 4,100%. And then here's the part that really threw me off. And I had to like hear this one back a couple times. She calls them, and I'm gonna show you Willa. She calls them breathing angels. She says directly, you guys are breathing angels for pulling 20-hour days during the time of us grieving. She worked them 20-hour days to organize a stadium funeral with a merch operation. Then she called their exhaustion like something to be celebrated. They're employees. They have health insurance and rent or a mortgage. What are they supposed to say? Sorry about the assassination, but I need a personal day? Erika wouldn't go with that. She took coerced labor and she's trying to act like it's holy. I'm picturing them on this call, dead-eyed, running on just nothing but cold brew and maybe some Adderall. And their boss is calling them angels while celebrating revenue. And somebody's probably crying on mute. Like, then she needs to handle the workplace drama. And she says, I don't care if you have beef with each other from the past, please put it to rest. I feel like the next thing she's going to say after that is like, please have some babies. She says, my husband's dead. It's like a weird PowerPoint transition. She's using his death as like a means to put into perspective how life is short. I guess the emotional weight of the way she delivered this was with the emotional weight of the copier is jammed. Just, my husband's dead. like just going on about the meeting. Life is short. The merch is bumping. Let's align. And throughout all of this, every second she's giggling, delighted. It's like the 5 stages of grief or the swirl. Erika just added a 6th one in there. Thrilled about Q4 projections. At no point does this feel like a widow or anyone who's lost anyone that they care about. And defenders are going to say, like, everyone grieves differently, or this is Christian joy. Sure, people grieve differently. Some people cry. Some people can't cry. Some people work. Some people go spiral into the disease of addiction. Some isolate. Some call their husband's assassination the event of a century. Okay. Then they celebrate merch sales, bumping up like crazy. Thank the graphic design teams, working their staff 20 hours a day and calling them angels. What the fuck? And then she's asking to use her dead husband as the workplace squasher of beef. The Christian joy defense. So listen, I'm not one to subscribe to organized religion, but technically when Jesus went to Lazarus' tomb, he wept. He didn't check attendance. He didn't thank the production team. He didn't like commemorate on it with sales of something. He wept.
All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into this next audio. And this one is the raw audio directly from Candace Owens. So I want y'all to hear a little bit of this as well. Give me just a second. I'm going to get this up on the screen so I can play this audio for you guys. And y'all let me know what y'all think. It's just, you know, a lot of these people and a lot of these things are very questionable. We are living in a day and age of like where people seem to really desire to want to be like actors, actresses, stars, and celebrities of some kind by any means necessary. And the truth is starting to come out about a lot of people as to what they really are. You know, they're in it to win it, you know, whether they're in relationships, marriages, businesses, it doesn't matter. You know, whatever it is that they have in mind, their goals that they're trying to reach, they'll try and reach those goals by any means necessary, even if it means connecting themselves to someone, marrying someone, having children with someone, just to get across the goal pole. I don't know how y'all think and feel about that. I think it can be nasty work. And again, all of this stuff is alleged. We can't be sure, but I know what it looks like and I know what it sounds like. And to me, it's a little bit questionable. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. I survived the ice storm. I'm sorry that we were down yesterday. We had no internet, but we are going to make up for it with a show this Friday. Anyway, what do I have for you today? Okay, before we dive in, a quick thank you to Nimi Skincare for supporting the show. New year, new skin, same values. I appreciate that Nimi focuses on quality, simplicity, and skincare that's made right here in the USA without chasing trends. You can visit Nimi Skincare. Basic journalism. It existed. I know it seems very far off, but it would be considered probably back in my day, literal insanity to allow someone to take over the reins of an organization that quite literally relies on the goodwill of the public. It's a charitable organization, which happened to have raised over $250 million following the assassination of its founder. And then apparently nobody's interested in doing a basic profile piece on the new chairman and CEO that took over. Like that's actually, that makes no sense. And so that's what we are committing ourselves to. We are doing a couple of episodes to separate fact from fiction when it comes to the background of Erika Kirk, because the public deserves to know. And like I said, it's basic journalism. This entire idea that, well, Charlie wanted this, that just would fly probably actually nowhere in the world, not even in the old world, not even under monarchy rule in the 11th century. In England, would that work? You can't just say, oh, well, that was his missus, that was his queen consort, and hand her a kingdom. Even under that model, it would be Charlie's son that would inherit Turning Point USA. So stop doing that. Stop saying that. It doesn't make any sense. The public is not biting. I am not biting. And to be clear, the more time that goes on, the more that we are seeing the general direction that this company is taking under her stewardship, the less we're liking. The general public doesn't like it. I don't like it. And especially the recent bout of paranoia where we had a bunch of employees who factually worked 20-hour days. That fact, by the way, you are about to hear Erika confirm herself. Those employees were then fired without even being given a clear reason as to why. Just gotta go, going in a different direction. That doesn't exactly match what we were told as the public. We were told that they're a family. How dare anybody question anybody ever in the family? Followed immediately, almost seemingly in the new year, by get out. We're just moving in a different direction. Knock, knock, we're at your door. You fired, and you better hand me your computer or else. We just want to know what happened here. Anyway, being a 501c3 company, being a charity, becoming a charitable organization makes you, of course, accountable to the public. Always, they are allowed to ask questions, even if you want to send out a bunch of cease and desist letters. And thanks to this recent string of misguided firings, that's putting it mildly, we did happen to get our hands on an audio recording of a corporate-wide Zoom call, which took place pretty immediately following Charlie's memorial. So for clarity, this call took place on Monday, September 22nd. So this is 11 days, less than 2 weeks after her husband was publicly assassinated in front of the entire world. It's important to remember that. It's also less than 48 hours, about 48 hours after his private Catholic funeral mass, which the public was not privy to. But top paying donors were. That's also odd. We'll save that for another day. I just think that you should know that. I want to plug that into our master timeline, which I know I keep promising you I'm going to publish. I will. So we know on September 10th, Charlie is assassinated. This is bottom of the timeline. On the 18th, this, by the way, strikes me as odd in the retrospect as I was working on these couple of episodes about Erika. On the 18th, there's 8 days after the assassination, she gave an in-person interview with the New York Times at her and Charlie's condo. Okay. Now, regarding the New York Times profile piece, I was totally in a cloud of grief by myself when all of that went down. Okay, you remember I had to go away to Wyoming just to breathe, to process, to get closer to accepting that it was real. I went away for 2 weeks. I didn't really catch the fact that it was an in-person meeting until later. 8 days after his public assassination, and she sits down for a piece with the publication that hated Charlie the entire time he was alive. New York Times was constantly writing hit pieces about Charlie Kirk, or pieces that just were not kind or favorable to Charlie Kirk. So it's an interesting decision. And reading the article, or rereading, because somebody said you should actually go back and revisit everything that transpired in the days after, and you kind of have new eyes, and that's very true. But in reading that article in retrospect, something that I am particularly struck by is the fact that she describes suddenly being forced into the single mother position as the quote unquote least traumatizing thing. Becoming a single mother suddenly, 8 days later, she describes that as the least traumatizing thing. Again, that's an exact quotation. I'll read it. You can see it. They're going into this. They're speaking about Trump's energy and his tone toward her on phone calls. And it reads, quote, from her, "The president's tone," she said, "was soft and embracing. I could tell he wanted to hug me." Others have responded in the same manner to Ms. Kirk, now left to care for a 3-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. "That new life," Ms. Kirk said, quote, "is actually the least traumatizing thing for me, since she herself has been raised by her mother after their parents divorced when she was young." And we're just supposed to pretend that that's completely normal or whatever. I would figure maybe the least traumatizing bit would be something more mundane, maybe along the lines, if this was a thing, if Charlie constantly filled up her gas tank and someone was like, well, who's going to fill up your gas tank? She might write, that's actually care about, that's just me filling up my car. That would be like the least traumatizing thing. Becoming a single mother after your husband is horrifically assassinated, realizing that your children are going to grow up without a father who toured the world and spoke about the importance of fatherhood and relayed the statistics pertaining to the youth that grow up without their fathers in the home. I would describe that as very traumatizing. I think across the board, that's a traumatizing, at least thing, stretch of an imagination. Anyway, we are now in season 7, episode 4 of Everybody Grieves Differently, but that's weird. Now, getting to this corporate call again, can we just go back if you want to throw in that schedule again? Sorry, yeah, okay, great. So we have this on the 10th, he's assassinated. On the 18th is that in-person interview with New York Times. On the 20th, so we're not being choosy. We're not cutting this for drama. The obvious point of this call to set this up is to introduce Erika. She's the new leader. Not even introducing, she's just heading up this call, but obviously she's going to be at the helm of this. So they're getting to know her. And she does begin the call by being thankful to the entire Turning Point USA team for their work at the memorial event. So let's take a listen.
Hi, everybody. I still love all these emoji Zoom things. Wow. I don't even know where to begin. The fact that we were able to pull off an event of a century, like it's just insane. We had over 275,000 people that attended, and the stadium, overflow, Westgate, insane, you guys. And then you have, was it 100 million? You guys that heard the gospel and all about Charlie and all about everything that you guys do and the hard work of Turning Point USA is insane. We had thousands that were registered to vote. I think we're at like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that because I think it just keeps like bumping up like crazy. But I just wanted to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to the events team, the development team, the graphic design team, the production team. It's just phenomenal. Their incredible work leading into the memorial. And honestly, a lot of the staff that worked on the memorial, they had 20-hour days for a week during the time of us grieving the loss of my husband. And honestly, I know several staff that didn't even sleep. Again, you guys are breathing angels, and I'm so grateful for all of you. And obviously a huge thank you to the Mosaic team. VI, you guys are 10 out of 10. Like we have the most incredible team. We just do. And you guys know that, and you guys are all a part of that. And I am so, so thankful. And if you do have a moment and you run into any of those staff members that you know had a role in this, and that they put a lot of their time and effort into it, just say thank you. There's something really special to be seen in moments like this, and it's not easy. I'm speaking from experience. I'm right in the trenches with you guys. And so the fact that a simple thank you, I don't care if any of you have beef with each other from the past or have any issues with someone said something about this or that. Like, if you guys have any of that, please put it to rest. My husband's dead. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid, but he's dead. And it puts life into perspective of how short life is and relationships, and God puts people in your life for a reason, and it teaches you a lesson, it teaches them a lesson. So if you are going through a time where, just lay it to rest, and we are moving forward, Turning Point USA 2.0 with Charlie in our hearts, and that's what he would want.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the chat here, and you guys are responding live in the way that I felt live listening to this. It is the general tone that is off-putting. It's the laughter that is off-putting. It's, again, we are not even 2 weeks after watching your husband be assassinated. We're talking about numbers and metrics that have been hit. and my husband's dead, not to be morbid. That is a sentence that and this was not my husband, and I had no sort of the type of relationship that she had with him, that I was able to utter. Least of all, I mean, that's moving pretty quickly to the acceptance phase. Now, we know everybody grieves differently. In my imagination, I just thought she would be more upset. And I want to be clear, the overall mood of this call is extraordinarily upbeat. It's extraordinarily happy. But of course, as the CEO and chairman, she does have to address the elephant in the room, the morbid elephant in the room, if you will, because it's an obligation. You have a new CEO. The employees are working 20-hour days, but also their founder, Charlie, was publicly assassinated less than 2 weeks ago. You got to address that. And you're going to hear her address that by recapping to them that throughout these long working days, the employees were provided with ample resources while they were working. Take a listen.
I'm just grateful that while things were still in motion and moving around, that we had our leadership teams provide for you counselors, pastors. I heard there were therapy dogs. Slightly jealous that I didn't get to have any moment with a therapy dog. Breakfast. I was really adamant about making sure that we paid for your flights, for your spouses to be there. That was something on my heart. You don't want to grieve alone. No one's supposed to grieve alone. It's not healthy. But I just think it's a beautiful honor that all of these benefits were made for the community to grieve and remember Charlie. And I really hope you took advantage of those in a healthy way when they were provided, because it's meant to be for everyone, for healing. Grief comes in waves. Some days are going to be tougher than others, but take it as it comes. And that's why you have your Turning Point family, and just lean on them and lean on other people in your life that will help you and pour into you and pray with you to get you through it. I say that, though, that if you do need more time to grieve, please continue to use Turning Point USA's network of counselors. We have pastors. I mean, there are so many resources for you. If you do need additional time off, please talk to your director about using paid time off for that. And again, it's not easy, but again, grief is hard. Otherwise, honestly, Turning Point USA and Turning Point Action, full steam ahead, you guys. Charlie would want us to get back to work, and that's what we're doing. And that's what we did with the memorial. And I'm so honored and proud of each and every one of you, because that's what we're going to do in his honor and in his name. We have so much to do, which is exciting. Charlie in heaven is like, you guys thought you had a busy schedule then, just you wait. And he's doing some awesome things with Jesus in heaven right now, but there's so much work to be done. I mean, since his assassination, we have 100,000 chapter requests. We have 300,000 new donors. That is a blessing in itself. Again, not normal, all God. I think we have 50,000 plus hat orders to fulfill. I mean, I'm saying these numbers because it puts into perspective that we're not just sitting and thinking and looking at the wall being like, what do we do? Like that, there is so much to do. You have over 20,000 AmFest registrations.
There's a lot happening there, and none of it is what I would be expecting to happen there. So basically what the employees said to me was that they got onto this call and everyone's exhausted, everyone's been working, and they pull off this massive memorial. And then there's kind of this approach where it's like, well, if you guys need paid time off, like Charlie's in heaven dancing, wanting you to work harder. He's just up there like, you better work, but you can use the paid time off that you have earned, by the way, if you need to grieve more. But imagine you're the employer, you're like, okay, well, this is his wife saying this. So am I weird? Would I be like, I would be pretty weird if I needed to take time off and his wife is saying she's full steam ahead. That's the mentality that they had. Like, how are we supposed, like, are we weird for wanting to grieve? Is that not the vibe? How can we take pay time off when Erika, his wife, is saying full steam ahead? It's very strange. It is even kind of using this idea of Charlie being in heaven, looking down, and the laughter. I don't know. I feel like the rest of you. I feel uncomfortable. And of course, now.
All right, y'all. So if y'all want to check out the rest of that video, head on over to Candace Owens' channel and her platform. You can listen to the whole audio from Erika Kirk and Candace Owens' talking points when it comes to that. But I just wanted to play a little bit of it. There is, a lot more actually to be listened to, but we're approaching almost the 2-hour mark. So I'm going to move ahead because I want to get into this last video, and we're going to be listening to the niece of President Donald Trump. And she's going to be talking a bit about his personality traits and why he moves and acts like he operates. And basically from what I listened to, what she was saying is giving, what we typically have learned if you have been in experience with anyone, maybe that's a narcissist or anything like that. It gives a bit of that energy. And it's also, further explanation into, how we see him moving and operating, treating people, speaking to people, what he really cares about and what's important to him, and how he'll stop at nothing to have and obtain these things that he deems important to him. So after we take this quick song break, we will come back with that final video. And then after that, y'all, we will end this live for the evening. I will let y'all go. It's almost 10 p.m. here Eastern time in the Carolinas. And I'll be back possibly tomorrow, or maybe I'll come back the day after that. I may take tomorrow off. I'm not sure. Covering a lot of stuff sometimes can take a big toll on you emotionally. It's a lot going on, y'all. It's really serious things that's going on. We report on it over here. We talk about it. We get our thoughts and feelings out on how we think, when we see and hear these things, especially when it comes to what is happening within our government and our political sector. We watch these people, as a summary real quick with the whole Erika Kirk and Charlie Kirk situation. We watch some of these people and stuff that to the public, they're supposed to be in positions of, this spiritual leadership, guidance, organizations and groups that are supposed to be like the pillar of strength for other people, right? That look up to them as role models, look up to them for hope and strength, advice and leadership. And, sometimes, I don't know, it's just, we're seeing now that when you take on those positions and you are in those places, it seems to be one of most of the easiest places to take advantage of people, but also of the situation for your own personal gain and whatever it is that you may be looking to gain, which we see when it comes to a lot of these people is very much monetary. It also is, fame, popularity, things like that. And so we can't be sure. Like Candy said, which I thought was, I couldn't agree more. And I understand that we can never really speak on how someone else grieves, and how they decide to grieve and what they decide to do in their times of, mourning. But it is quite questionable. A lot of the things that played out and happened as we watch the reports on them and listen to the reports on them have been quite questionable. So I don't know, y'all. these reports will continue to come out. I'm pretty sure people are still looking into this and following it very closely. They're watching her very closely. We have to remember, I did do a video and I did do some content where we did see MAGA Minaj. She was over there with Erika Kirk. That's questionable. That makes you raise an eyebrow. And it's just a lot of things is very strange. It's just like, I don't know. I do think that a lot of stuff, it almost makes you feel like we are living like in the Twilight Zone. Like stuff is very strange and weird. It's giving very much sci-fi these days. We can't really be sure, right? But hey, to each its own. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this quick song break. After the song break, we'll be back with our final video, like I said, from the niece of Donald Trump. She will be speaking out, and giving us a little bit more Donald Trump's character and who he is. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Let me go ahead and get this song in real quick, and I will be right back. I'm gonna get me a sip of water because my voice is starting to go out. So I really do apologize for being hoarse and clearing my throat, y'all. I know that's not the best sound to hear when someone's doing the live. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, let's take this song break and I'll be right back.
I was born to pray, hands up to the sky, but the pastor's checking bank rolls while the widow's crying dry. Check the ties, check the pews, check the greed. Building gold-plated cathedrals while the hungry never feed. Dresky called it out, yeah, he put him on the blast. Touch a guy's skit, now the joke is gonna last. They don't care about the spirit, they don't care about the word. Just a bounty on a blessing, man, it's truly quite absurd. Getting paid by the sea, yeah, they stacking up the vault. While the broken-hearted people think the struggle is their fault. It's a business, it's a racket, it's a holy coded game. They'll sell a miracle water just to glorify the name. He needs a gold stream for the Lord. For the love of money, the mega church is moving through the night. For the love of money, they're trading salvation for the light. For the lean, lean, green, green. The congregation's all they need. I need the peace, but not like that. No. I need the truth, but keep the facts straight. Trisky started healing and he knew it was a scam. Acting like a lion while you're fleecing every lamb. Clickbait, amen. Monetize the grace while the pastor's in the Bentley with a smile on his face. They getting paid to preach, I'm getting paid to speak. The theology is greedy and the spirit is weak. Check the tax exemption, check the front row line. The greed in the pulpit's gonna drive us out our minds. Sowing seeds for a bonus, that's a soul-crushing crime. I'd rather have the truth, stop trading the pews for the pockets of our youth. Don't let the anointing change you.
All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into this final video for the evening. Let me go ahead and get this up on the stage for y'all. We can take a look at this one. This is from MS Now. This is a news report. And so this is actually, like a sit down as well with Donald Trump's niece. And she had a lot to say about Donald Trump and, who he is, why he moves and acts and operates the way he does. And tries to explain some things further for people who may not really fully understand this man's personality and why he is the way he is and does the things he does. So she gives us an inside look, being a family member, a close family member. And so let's go ahead and listen to some of what she has to say when it comes to Donald Trump. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Top Democrats are asking Tulsi Gabbard to explain why she attended an FBI raid in Fulton County when agents seized ballots related to President Trump's 2020 election defeat. Here's what the president said when asked to explain.
Mr. President, what was Tulsi Gabbard doing at an election center in Georgia today?
She's working very hard on trying to keep the election safe, and she's done a very good job. And they, as you know, they got into the votes. You got a signed judge's order in Georgia, and you're going to see some interesting things happening. They've been trying to get there for a long time.
Joining me now is our friend, author and psychologist Mary Trump, also President Trump's niece. She hosts the Mary Trump Show podcast, and she's written books about how Trump's childhood shaped his first presidency. Welcome, Mary. Can you tell me what your uncle means by trying to keep the election safe, and what is he suggesting is yet to come?
I think what he means is that he is desperate to overturn the results of the 2020 election, and he's going to use all of the means at his disposal, which are not inconsiderable. In fact, Tulsi Gabbard, last I checked, is not in the business of checking on election integrity or security. I think that the bigger mission here for Donald is to undermine the American people's faith in free and fair elections. This is something he's been engaged in for years now. And again, now he has a lot more power in order to do that. It's a very worrisome sign. Tulsi Gabbard is the director of national intelligence. So unless they suspect some foreign interference that didn't benefit Donald in 2020, she has no business being there. And I think the American people do deserve answers about that.
But 2020 is 6 years ago. Why is Trump unable to accept his defeat after many investigations and rulings prove the election results were correct? Why can't he let it go?
He can't let anything go that paints him as a loser. And even though he's back in the Oval Office, even though he has more money now because of the corruption in the Trump regime, it's never enough. And I've written about this, and it's fascinating to me how it continues to be true, but it's becoming increasingly true. The more power he gets, the more wealth he amasses, the more he looks back to engage in revisionist history in order to convince himself and everybody around him that he actually won everything. So I think it's pretty simple, actually. Donald is a deeply insecure person. And in my family, being a loser was literally the worst thing you could possibly be. It was deserving of humiliation and worse. So he is still trying to rewrite that narrative to protect his fragile ego.
So, as you know, this week, he did actually file a lawsuit against the IRS, and it seeks a $10 billion taxpayer-financed payout over the leaking of his tax returns some years back. And last October, he also demanded $230 million from the Justice Department as compensation for the federal criminal investigations that he faced after losing in 2020. What's this really about? I mean, you mentioned the money. Is that what it's all about?
Yes. It is indeed, because Donald, it's never, as I said, it is never enough, because going back for decades, money is the only thing that gives people in my family a sense of self-worth. So the more you're worth financially, the more you're worth as a human being. And he has a very, very deep void that he's trying desperately to fill and money is his preferred way to do that. Of course, it's not going to work because we see these lawsuits becoming increasingly frequent, and the numbers are getting bigger and bigger. And he has indeed won, in a sense. Like, I defy him to prove what his damages are. He's back in the White House. He's making money hand over fist. And I think there are cases in which the lawsuit is vengeful. It's to get retribution. I think Letitia James Comey, but sometimes it's a mechanism to enrich himself in a very easy way. He's a track record here, suing media corporations, for example, and despite the fact that they're frivolous, they settle to his benefit. So he's not going to stop. I mean, he's suing me for $100 million. So, and I think that he understands now that there are bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. I mean, but really taxpayers would be the ones paying these out, which is extraordinary. I wonder how Americans feel about that. So with all the developments in Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz found himself having to talk to the White House officials as well as the president in the last week. And here's some of what he said about those talks. Let's watch.
This is what's so hard to deal with this president. You have to know the psychology of how to do it. Look, I know who I'm dealing with, and I know the reason that he was calling me was he needed something from us. He needed it not because this is a horrific situation of a violation of human rights, the potential murder of Minnesotans, an assault on our state that is unprecedented, I think, in American history. The reason he was calling was his poll numbers dropped and it looked bad on TV.
Do you agree there's a psychology involved talking to the president? If so, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I agree with Governor Walz completely. Donald is not the least bit concerned about the violence that's being perpetrated. In fact, he's ordering it to be perpetrated. His goal here is to create circumstances in American cities that either lead to Americans staying home and keeping silent, or to clashes like we've seen in Minnesota that can give him the opportunity to invoke the Insurrection Act or declare martial law. I think that the time of appeasement is over. We've seen this play out on the world stage as well. People are finally starting to realize that the worst thing to do is to capitulate to Donald, because he sees that as an opportunity to try to get more. People need to stand up and stop playing ball with him and draw a line in the sand. I think that negotiating with an administration that never operates in good faith is a very bad strategy. And again, it only leads to a situation in which he continues to have the upper hand.
Mary, as you look ahead, what are your gravest concerns about this administration relative to the country?
My gravest concern is that there is nobody in a position to do anything about it who will try at least to slow this down. What we've seen since January 1st has been, on the one hand, not surprising, but just a shockingly quick decline of America, both domestically and internationally. So we're not just looking at a situation in which American institutions continue to be dismantled. We're not just looking at a situation in which essentially a Gestapo is being unleashed on the American people. We're looking at the possibility that the Trump regime is going to unravel the post-World War II order. And that is going to be extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, to come back from.
All right, y'all. So there we have it. You heard that. Just about everything she said is like, it makes absolute sense. I agree with all of it, and when we're talking about power and money, this is what is driving a lot of people to do the things that they do, with no integrity, no empathy, no feelings at all, based off of the decisions that they make and the havoc that they wreak on other people. It comes from a selfish place. These are people that want what they want, and they want it now. It's my money and I need it now. Well, it's not really their money, but it's the money that they want. It's the things that they want. It's the power and the positions that they want. And they will go through any lengths to get them. And then the most dangerous part is once they do, they'll do whatever it takes to keep it. And so we're seeing a lot of this play out and pan out, not just within our government, our political system, but all over. I'm pretty sure there's people who would bear witness to this in their workplace where they go. There's probably, characters or associates in your workplace that you probably see every day that move and operate that same way. They will throw you under the bus. They'll lie on you, they'll do whatever it takes to make sure they have and keep that position they have, and they keep that money, and it keeps rolling in and it keeps rolling on. And so this is a characteristic trait of a lot of people. And you come across it every now and then. You'll come across it no matter where you're at or what you're looking at. These are how these people operate and think and move. Excuse me, y'all. And so this is I think a big issue of what we're dealing with, and why we're seeing, the lengths that these people will go to get the things that they desire to have and keep them. And so one of the biggest displays of that, what we're seeing playing out right now, is within our government, our president of the United States, the one that is in place right now. And then there's others in other places and spaces as well that we see a similar characteristic trait. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all can drop down in the comments below. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up now. This is all I got for this live this evening. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope we, share this information together and talk together or whatnot, and have these conversations that really shine a light on what is truly going on, making sense of it and putting the pieces together and having the hard conversations. But we're going to end it with a bop per usual, y'all. I'm going to see if I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure. I might. We got a snow day here, so we may have a play day in the snow with me and my son. Might take him out there and just take tomorrow off from some of this content and coverage, because, like I said, sometimes it can be a lot. But, I enjoy it. So we'll see. I may be back tomorrow. I may not. But I will talk to y'all on the next live. So thank you very much for listening in. I hope everybody has a great rest of the morning, afternoon, evening, or night, whatever respectful time zone you're in and time it is where you are. I hope it is good for you. And I will talk to you guys soon, okay? But this is Golden, and I'm signing out. All right. Bye.
You want the who said what, but when the blood is in the street, you keep your big mouth shut. You run the numbers up for clicks on every toxic lil, but skip the stream about the kids who barely can survive. You're addicted to the circus dancing for $1 bill, while experimenting on us popping every kind of pill. Algorithm got you trapped, a digital lobotomy. You'd rather watch a dummy tech than learn about autonomy. Low vibrations, yeah, that's all you crave. Mind of a zombie, walking to the grave. Talk about the spirit, talk about the fight. You vanish like a ghost, you're disappearing in the night. Dumbass zombies, sleepers in the cell. Build your own prison in this digital hell. Low vibration. We moving on. Hypertext is boring, spiritual rarity is deep. That's exactly what they wanted, just to keep your soul asleep. They shout down when I good. They're hunting for the press, and you're arguing in comments about a rapper summer dress. It's a war on your mind, it's a war on your health, but you're too busy scrolling, giving stupid all your wealth. I'm a golden queen, I'm 10 toes down in the mud, while you're chasing cloud and spilling everybody's blood. Are you a fan of your own destruction? Is the gossip worth your soul? Unplug the wire. Debate the cell. Mama warrior told you. Now bring it back. Low vibrations, yeah, that's all you crave. Mind of a zombie, walking to the grave. Talk about the spirit, talk about the fight. You vanish like a ghost, you're disappearing in the night. Dumbass zombies, sleepers in the cell. Feel your own prison in this digital hell. Let's go, vibrations. Yeah. Numbers drop when the truth gets loud. But I'd rather have a few than a brainless crowd. It's a veil to the world, high frequency only. Mama, warrior, golden queen. You tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queen. H2.0. Let's get it. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear. Yo, welcome to the Queendom. H2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. So if you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must. This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up of the scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought. Oh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me unleash the dragon. You've been warned. Yeah. Don't make me unleash the dragon. You've been warned. Yeah. Don't make me unleash the dragon, you've been warned. Yeah. Yeah. Golden Queen H2.0. The movement starts now. Go ahead. Hit subscribe, ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss a thing. Welcome to the family.